In this video, I'm going to be covering Larry Scott's Superset forearm bomber routine. And I recently completed this workout yesterday. I tacked it on to the end of my arm and shoulder workout, and I really enjoyed this one. Forearms are a body part that often get neglected. A lot of people don't directly train them. They're kind of an afterthought. Um, usually the extent of it is, people might throw in a few sets of direct forearm training at the end of the arm day. But let's get into this. I'm going to first talk about Larry Scott a little bit. If you don't know who he is, he was born in 1938 in Idaho. He began training at age 16 as a teenager, and then in 4 years, he won the Mr. Idaho competition in 1959 at the age of 20. So this kind of his career before I get more into it. Um, he would be like the silver era blending into the golden era. But anyway, he followed up his win in Idaho. He ended up winning Mr. California in 1960, Mr. Pacific Coast in 1961, Mr. America in 1962, Mr. Universe in 1964. So a whole string of just success in bodybuilding. And then arguably his best wins were the first Mr. Olympia ever in 1965. And then he came back and he defended that title in 1966 and won again. So he won the first two Mr. Olympias back to back. And he actually staged a comeback in 1979 and then finally retired completely in 1980. But he was best known for his arm development, his biceps, and his forearms. And he was only 5'7". Stage weight was around 205, but off stage, off season, he would get up to 215, which that's not too bad of a weight fluctuation. And he was one of Vince Gironda's students. He trained with Vince Gironda. Now, Vince actually gets credit for inventing the preacher curl. And since Larry Scott was Vince's student, that preacher curl was also known as the Scott curl back then, just because of the association with it. And you could see that, Vince influenced him because Larry Scott's diet was, very focused, animal protein focused, meat, cheese, and eggs. And then, he filled out the rest with protein supplements. And after 1980, he ended up retiring to Salt Lake City, and he operated his business, which was Larry Scott Fitness and Nutrition. He was a devout Mormon. I think he ended up having 5 children with his wife. And then he actually, unfortunately, got Alzheimer's later in life and ended up dying in 2014 at the age of 75. But, the legend Larry Scott, first Mr. Olympia, just a really great physique. Like I said, his arms were definitely his calling card. So I decided to do this forearm routine because, like I said, not many people do direct training and pay attention, as much attention as they should, to forearms and grip training. But let's get into that routine now. Okay, so for these workouts, I know I usually break the whiteboard out, but since this is such a small routine, I think we're going to go with a different approach this time. Now, like I said, I really enjoyed this forearm routine. You can easily tack this on to the end of your arm day or wherever you want to put it in your workout rotation or your weekly workout routine. You could easily tack it on at the end. It's comprised of 2 supersets and then one exercise at the end, which I'll talk about. But your first superset is going to be your wrist curls with an underhanded grip, and you're going to do uh, 5 sets of 15 reps, and that's going to be supersetted with reverse curls on the preacher bench, or he was calling it the Scott bench, since Larry Scott was so associated with that lift or that piece of equipment. But the reverse curls on the preacher bench, you're going to do 5 sets of 12. So that's your first superset. And I did like this one. Usually when I do reverse curls, I just do them standing. I usually don't use a preacher bench, but this was a nice change from that. Your second superset is going to be an overhand wrist curl. And, you're going to still brace your arms and the weight over a bench, but you're just curling upwards with your wrist. And you're going to go a bit lighter on this movement than the underhand wrist curls, just so you can get the full rotation all the way up and then go back down. I think I was using like a 30-pound barbell on this. And this is going to be your second superset. You're going to do this one 5 sets, 15 reps. And then you're going to hit the underhand wrist curls again, 5 sets of 15 reps. So this was a pretty simple routine. Simple, straightforward. But in the middle of my second superset, I realized how full and pumped my forearms were getting. So this definitely was working my forearms really well. My veins were starting to pump up and pop up nicely during this part of the routine. And then finally, for your last exercise, and this one you may find a bit unusual. Most people do not have this piece of equipment. Fortunately, I did. You're going to use an eagle catcher, and you can easily purchase one of these off eBay, Amazon. Usually they run about 15 to 20 bucks. And what it is a device that has springs attached to it. You have a place for each of your fingers, including your thumb, and you're just going to contract your hand. You're working the hand, the fingers, the wrist, the forearm with this device. And it's really marketed toward martial artists to strengthen their grip. And anyway, you're going to do just 2 sets of this exercise and max out. So you're just going to go to failure twice. Of course, 2 sets each hand. So that's what you're going to do on that. Now, on the Larry Scott workout that I saw, the eagle catcher, Joe Weider, I believe Weider gets credit for this because it was in his magazines. His version of the Weider catcher, they marketed it as the Killer Karate Crusher. That was the name it was known under. And how it differed from my eagle catcher, it was still, working the same muscles in the forearm, still working the thumb, the fingers, so all 5 digits, and the hand. The only difference is it looked like there was a slight difference in the positioning of the springs, the way the finger inserts were arranged, and it had like a leather padding for your fingers. Because on my eagle catcher, when you start contracting the fingers, you kind of dig into the metal hooks where your fingers go, and there can be some discomfort, but you could easily amend that by, applying some tape or, your own padding or your own leather, kind of make your own finger grip. So it's not that big of a deal. But like I said, it's essentially the same piece of equipment. Weider just had a different name for it, which was the Killer Karate Crusher. So if you'd like to try this forearm routine, it was very good. Like I said, you could see the pictures that I took, had a nice forearm pump going on. And, forearms shouldn't be neglected. They're an important part of the physique. They're definitely a body part that really communicates strength, communicates grip strength. And it's like I said before, like if you have thick muscular forearms, if you're in a self-defense situation, forearms are often going to be used for blocking, for deflecting blows, and then even delivering blows, to an opponent. So if you've got muscular forearms, you're going to have strong grip. So that's great for grappling, but muscular forearms can really pack a wallop, if you get into a fight. So definitely don't neglect the forearms. Don't let them get out of balance with your biceps because, it's definitely important, I would say, to add some kind of direct forearm training into your routine. But this is a solid one. My rating, I would give it a 4 stars out of 5. I would probably use this routine, but I would also, maybe change it up a little bit. Different times I might throw in some, like the brachial curl, the Meadows curl, the standard reverse curls, reverse cable curls, the wrist roller. So there's a lot you could work with there. But anyway, I give the Larry Scott routine 4 out of 5 stars. Solid forearm routine. And the only other drawback is most gyms aren't going to have an eagle catcher, unless they're more martial arts focused. But like I said, easy enough to pick up that piece of equipment on eBay or Amazon.